Hello and welcome back to Portugal MUSE. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me today because the forestry are working literally outside the kitchen. They're literally just over there. I've put the dogs outside, but they're obviously going to bark at all the tree surgeons and the people working on cutting down the trees. So it's quite noisy. But I'm going to try and film and show you what I'm up to this week. So, Dave and I have been invited to a wedding on Saturday, and I've got nothing to wear. So I've got a closet full of stuff, but there's nothing in there really that would suit a summer wedding. I've got one dress that I wore to my friend's summer wedding maybe 7 years ago, which doesn't fit me now anyway. So I don't actually have anything that I could wear to a summer wedding. So I thought I can make clothes. I might as well make something. So I took my favourite top. It's actually all in pieces now. I've worn this top to death. I bought it from TK Maxx, so it was obviously like a designer top, and it's just one of those tops that you can wear it whenever for whatever occasion, and it just makes you feel really good about yourself. And the reason I like this so much is because it's drapey and it's in layers and it hides like a multitude of sins. So this is the back piece, and I had to even so I've had this top for so long, at least 10 years, and I've put some weight on between being 30 and 40. Um, I had to put these extra bits on the side to make it bigger. So it's already been adjusted once. So it's not a bad thing that I've taken it apart. And what I'll probably end up doing is making like 10 of my favourite top in various different fabrics. If this experiment goes well. It was very scary actually taking my favourite top apart to make the paper pattern, but hopefully it'll be worth it. So that's the back piece, and actually it's quite complicated to make, so I might have given myself something challenging. So there's 3 pieces to the front. This is the first piece that drapes one way, so I've labelled them. This is the second piece that also drapes that way. Yeah. So you've got 2 drapey floaty bits going into the right direction, and then the last piece I'm assuming goes to the left, or I hope it does, otherwise I've done it wrong. Yes, it does. So it drapes that way, and when you put all 3 layers on top of each other, it's like really flattering. So if you're a bit like a bigger bust like I am, and you've got a bit of a belly, because your bust is bigger, it basically drapes and hides the belly, which, you know, I've definitely noticed a big difference between 30 and 40. It's not as easy to stay fit and lose weight. That's the dog's barking now. Dave and I are doing healthy eating, and we're even trying an anti-inflammatory diet at the moment, because we're both definitely noticing as we get older it's not as easy to stay in shape. But one thing you can do is wear more flattering clothes. And another issue I have, since we've been to Portugal, so in the UK, I had quite an important job. I was a head of department, and I was a middle leader in quite big schools. And I dressed really nicely. I was an art teacher, so my clothes still had to be practical, but I dressed very smart every day for work. But in the in the 6 years we've been living in Portugal, I've not really had a job, although it's the hardest I've ever worked. Um, it's like I'm either looking after the dogs, taking the dogs for a walk in the forest, house renovating, basically working like a builder, taking walls down, mixing cement, lots of cleaning, uh, being like almost like Dave's assistant. So I'm like a labourer or a brickie. Uh, I just like shovel muck from one place to another. I'm working in the garden, so I'm always muddy. The dogs make everything messy and muddy. So I'm either like cleaning or making a mess. So like my whole like outfit since I've been to Portugal has just been black leggings, Primark. Um, so I don't really have. I have nice clothes, but they're clothes that I fit into when I was quite a bit younger. Um, so this is quite a nice experiment to be doing. Um, and if it goes well, I might make more clothes. So that's my favourite top that I've taken apart, and I took it apart to make a pattern. So basically, that's the back. So the idea is that you'd fold the fabric in half, and that's where the fold would be, and you'd place that pattern piece on the fold, so it's twice the size, if that makes sense. So that's made to measure me. So that'll be really nice. And then I did this piece, which marks out all the other pieces. So it's on the fold again, but obviously every piece is different, and I've marked them on here in different colours. So the orange is the first piece, the green is the second piece, and the purple is the third piece. And then from my third pattern piece, I was able to trace my second pattern piece, which is this one. So I know it looks massive, but it'll be in really drapey fabric, so it'll just like float and hide all my sins. So that's the second piece, which goes that way, and then that's the first piece that goes over the top, and it'll drape really nicely. So I made a toile. So I studied fashion design at Westminster University, and I graduated in 2008, which was probably the worst time to leave university because it coincided with that big financial crash. So nobody was employing anybody. But I managed to work for fashion designers for a few years. But after a year, I did my teacher's training, and after 2 years, I started teaching part time just because I wasn't earning enough money doing what I'd been trained to do. And then I just became a full time teacher eventually because I needed to buy a house and have a mortgage. Um, I worked in fashion for years. I worked in the creative industry in London for years, but it didn't really pay the bills back then. Anyway, don't know what it's like now. But I'm a trained fashion designer and seamstress. I can make patterns, pattern cutting, and I can make clothes to a high standard. So the people I worked with were really high end. So some of my friends were able to get work for the high street. So a lot of my friends designed for ASOS, like a high street brand. Online was really popular as well. You could get maybe 17,000 a year working for the high street. But I thought I'd be better off teaching, where I started off on 26,000 a year, and I quickly climbed up to earning 43, by the end 45,000 a year teaching. Then I would have got working for the high street, because I didn't really want to work for the high street. I wanted to work for the high end fashion designers, but they don't really pay you. They might give you a little bit, but you don't get paid. You don't have a contract or anything like that. So I am trained, but it's not really coming that useful. Anyway, we'll see. So this is a toile. So a toile is something that you make out of calico, or like a really cheap fabric, just to check that your pattern is correct. So I've not done all the layers. I've just done the back to check that the back was the size I wanted it, and I've just done one of the front pieces. And what I noticed is that there was a mistake in my paper pattern, so I've changed that. And the original neckline was higher, so I've also changed that, and I've changed it on the pattern. Then the next thing I did was I took my favourite jacket. So this is my favourite jacket, also from TK Maxx, so it'll be a designer one. I don't know what they are. I think a lot of them are French, but it's silk jacket. I've worn this jacket so much. Also had it for years. There was no way I was taking this apart. I wasn't risking it. And it's quite delicate, like you can tell it's like silk. It's beautiful. And it's got these French seams on the inside. I loved how we had TK Maxx in the UK, so you could, like, I could never afford like designer clothes, so it's amazing. Like some of the shops, look at that pocket, look how beautifully made that is. And that's like a what's it called, a sand washed silk. Oh, I love this jacket. But the coolest thing about this jacket is how flattering it is. And I think it's flattering because of this sleeve. So a sleeve like this it comes from sportswear, and it's called a raglan sleeve. And it's incredibly flattering. So this is probably a size 10 from when I used to be very slim, and I'm not anymore. So obviously I couldn't do this up. But I can still wear this like over my shoulders, and it's quite a flattering, it's a very flattering jacket. So I was able to copy this jacket, a pattern for this, without taking it apart. So it wasn't easy, it was quite complicated. So it's really tricky actually. So centre back, yeah. So this is how it goes together. There's 3 pattern pieces. This is the back. This is the back piece. So again, this will be on the fold of the fabric. This is underneath the arm, and this is where the sleeve joins up. So the sleeve attaches here. And if you imagine, this is the neckline, and then it would attach here at the bottom. That makes sense. And then the centre front attaches here, and then that will sort of finish there. So I thought it's best not to, this is calico, which is quite a stiff fabric. I thought I've got an old bed sheet, so I made a toile out of the bed sheet because I wanted to see how it would drape, because I think the final outfit I'm going to make in silk. So this is the toile that I made for the jacket, which I think is quite cool. It's quite flattering. I made the sleeve in a way, I cut the sleeve in a way so that it drapes really nicely around my arm, so it hides my bingo wings. So if you're of a certain age, you'll know what I mean. But I've just started doing yoga again, so I might get my nice arms back. But I like that it's cut quite high. I think that will be quite flattering, and I like how it curves on the side. So that's the top, that's the jacket, those are the patterns, and I've adjusted all of those, and I'm happy with all of those. Now for the skirt, which I'm not happy with yet. So the skirts, I had a stretchy pencil skirt. I can't get stuff on the high street to fit me anymore. I'm a size like 14, but I don't really look nice in anything on the high street at the moment, so I'm just sort of gone off shopping a little bit because I don't feel like I'm really fat. But once you're a size 14, high street shops just really stop becoming fun to shop at. I feel like they're just made for like teenagers. So, like, you know, I could not get a skirt to fit me. And I know I'm not like really overweight. I'm just, you know, I'm a curvy 40-year-old woman. I'm healthy. But yeah, finding bottoms to fit me is really tricky. So I've made this skirt. So the only skirt I had stretch. It was stretch fabric, which is really difficult to make a pattern out of, obviously, because you have to just guess how much it stretches. So I made the skirt out of calico, which obviously is cotton. It has no stretch. And now this is like a typical skirt pattern where you have what are called darts. So the darts at the back are much bigger than the darts at the front, and that's to allow for the shape of the bottom. So you can see here, these are the darts at the front to make shape for my belly, and then these are much bigger darts at the back, and they make the shape of your bum. So I'm going to try the skirt on again now because I'm really happy with the jacket, the toile, so that pattern's fine. I'm really happy with the cut of this top. Really happy with that. So that pattern's fine. We can cut that out and make it. But the skirt, I'm not happy with just yet. So I'm going to have another look at it and see what needs to be changed. So I think I put the zip on the wrong side as well. I seem to remember zips being on the left. I need to Google it. It doesn't change the pattern. Yeah, this is bulging. Okay, so I need to work out what's going on with the skirt and make some changes. Okay, so I feel like it's bulging here. So by like 2 centimeters, the skirt's going to be in the same fabric as the top, so quite drapey. But I think it'll drape really nicely. I saw one of the characters of Emily in Paris wearing a skirt in I think it must have been on Pinterest or something, where the top goes up and the bottom goes down. So I'm just going to draw that on with a pen and see what it looks like and see if I like it, because I might change it. What's good about these is they're pattern masters. They give you curves to work with when you're trying to do patterns and dresses and stuff. So it's not like just luck, or if you've got like an artistic eye, you use your pattern cutter to give you a nice curve. Right, so that's the middle. And I like working with calico and cotton and toiles because you can literally just draw on them. So, it's like, it's so easy to work like this. So you can just draw on, with a pencil. So from my waist down, I don't want it to be too short. $36 there. Okay, so I think anything more than that would be a bit dramatic when I sit down. So I think I'm just going to stick with that shape. Quite happy with that. I've adjusted the sides so it's not bulging there. And then because it's silk, it should flow quite nicely as well. So what I need to do now is just change the pattern to be like this one. So I really don't know how well you're going to hear me because we've got chainsaws, dogs barking, and now we have rain. And I suspect the dogs will keep passing the camera and moving it until they've settled down. So I don't know how well you're going to hear me because we've got rain to contend with now as well. But I'll just show you how I'm going to adjust this pattern. So this is the front, and that's the centre front, so that's where the fold is. So that would go there. Centimetre seam allowance. And now the hem is going to be quite different. Okay. And back. It's just a little bit off the back. It's nice to have a hem on a skirt to put some weight on the fabric. You want the skirt to flow, but also you want some weight at the bottom, so that it keeps its shape. It's like a cleaner lines. So I'm probably going to create a separate hem piece because it's going to be quite a difficult shape now. So if you've got a straight hem, it's really easy just to turn the fabric up and put a hem on an existing pattern. But if you've got a hem that's an unusual shape like this is going to be, you want to create a hem that's a completely separate pattern piece, because you wouldn't be able to turn that up and create a hem. It's just not possible. So the pattern piece has to be separate and sewn on. So I'll show you that as well.
Don't wanna be a one-man woman. Got me stranded like a boat in the sand. Just the thought of not spreading my wings drives me crazy. Dressing up, fixing my strut, always prepared, you never know who shows up around the corner. Maybe it's that director. Oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can learn the smooth moves. I would do anything you ask me to do. Jump out on the stage, get locked up in a cage. Director, glitter and a touch of glamour. Wanna impress me, show me real amour. Flower curtains, rose petals on my bed. I'm your sweetheart. Every new day a new chance for success. The sooner the better, 'cause I'll be the best. But I draw the line at getting undressed. Director, oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can learn the smooth moves. I would do anything you ask me to do.
So all my pattern pieces are ready now. I've thought about how I'm going to put all the pieces together, what the waistbands and the hem of the skirt and things like that are going to be. So I have all my pattern pieces checked. I've done a toile. So the next bit should be fairly straightforward, depending on how tricky the fabric is. So I went to this fantastic fabric store in Coimbra. It's a massive fabric shop. It's 2 floors, and they've got a huge array of fabrics there. There are other fabric shops in the city, but this one is definitely my favourite, and I'll put a link in the description below if you live in central Portugal and you're looking for a really good fabric shop. This is the best one I've found. And just down the road from this fabric shop as well, literally like 30 meters, is a haberdashery. So you can buy your buttons, your zips, everything for your sewing machine. I just got new. Don't get them mixed up. Fabric scissors. These are my old fabric scissors that are now paper scissors because they're too blunt. And I knew that the fabric I wanted to do this outfit in was going to be a very delicate fabric. So I've just bought new fabric scissors. Um, so the lining and the actual silk is quite similar, but I can see it now. It's this beautiful peachy colour, almost like similar to a skin tone. Isn't that lovely? So it's very girly, as you can probably guess. I'm not a very girly girl. I'm a bit of a tomboy. But sometimes it is nice to be girly. And I think a wedding is one of those occasions where it's like, I think weddings are magical. I loved Dave and my wedding. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. So I've gone for a very very girly, silky pink fabric. Now this is the fabric on the outside. It's quite a thick, like a Duchess satin. Really nice. Really happy with that. And then this is the lining, which I love. I just think it's so lovely. It's quite 80s, which is obviously that's my era. That's when I was born. So I'm an 80s child, as you can maybe tell from the colour of these fabrics. But I'm hoping it's going to look quite modern when I'm finished because the cut of everything's quite cool and quite modern. So there we go. So now what I need to do is cut out the fabric. I'll put it on a time lapse, but hopefully you'll be able to tell how I'm doing it, how I'm laying the fabric with the pattern pieces, with the grain of the fabric. Yeah, hopefully it won't take too long, but there is quite a few pieces to cut out. But I'm really happy with my fabric, so that's a good start.